Coming up today is something that may surprise you, a rose that never wilts, a rose that blooms in your hands, not in a garden. This is the magic of crochet. In the next few minutes, you won't just watch a flower grow, you'll create one. Now, let's gather what we need. With nothing more than yarn, a hook, and a little patience. Think about that for a moment. With something as ordinary as a string of yarn, you're about to turn it into something extraordinary. That's the beauty of handmade art. Every stitch carries your time, your touch, your rhythm. Nothing complicated. But out of these simple tools will come something timeless. That's how life often works, doesn't it? The simplest tools, the smallest choices, sometimes create the most lasting beauty. As we begin, we start small, with a single loop, a single stitch. It doesn't look like much. And maybe you think, how can this ever become a rose? But that's how everything begins. The first step is always humble. A single word becomes a poem. A single note becomes a song. And a single loop becomes the first promise of a flower. Crochet teaches patience. With each loop, you're telling yourself, slow down. There is no rush. Watch how the yarn twists and forms into the shape you guide it toward. This isn't just craft. It's meditation. It's like breathing through your hands. And now the petals begin. Petals are funny things. Small, fragile, easy to overlook when alone. But gathered together, they form the very symbol of beauty itself. Each stitch you make is like planting a seed. And as you repeat, as you keep going, those seeds sprout into curves and folds. Soon you'll look down and see not just yarn, but the soft beginning of a bloom. There's a lesson here. Alone we may feel small, but together, like these stitches, like these petals, we create something larger than ourselves, something people can't ignore, something people stop and admire. Notice how your petals curl slightly, like waves frozen in yarn. Roses in real life are never perfect. Some petals are bigger, some fold in odd ways, some lean outward. And yet, together, they create something breathtaking. Don't chase perfection here. Let your rose carry your own unique fingerprint. That's the charm of handmade. No two roses will ever be the same. You might find yourself slipping out of rhythm, maybe undoing a stitch, maybe tangling the yarn. That's okay. Crochet whispers a truth we often forget. Mistakes are not endings, they are invitations. An invitation to try again, to slow down, to approach differently. A tangled yarn is just drama waiting for a happy ending. As your petals grow, pause for a moment. Hold what you've made so far. Feel it in your hands. What was once just thread is now something recognizable, something alive with shape. That's a reminder of your own power, to take what looks ordinary and transform it into beauty. Now the petals begin to layer, one folding against another, creating depth. This is where the rose starts to breathe, from flat stitches to rounded curves, from flat yarn to blooming form. It's almost as if nature itself is being recreated in your palms. A rose in the garden fades after a week, but this rose, this patient work of your hands, can stay with you for years. And isn't that a small kind of immortality? A way of telling time, I was here, I created this, and it will outlast me. As you continue, remember, don't rush. Roses don't bloom in seconds. They take time, and that's part of their wonder. Each layer you add is a chapter, and at the end, you'll have a whole story woven in yarn. Pause again. Look at your rose as it builds. It is not perfect, but neither are we. And that's what makes it beautiful.
Crochet is more than yarn and hooks. It's a conversation between your hands and your heart. Every loop you make, every stitch you pull through, is a reminder that beauty can be built slowly, patiently, and one step at a time. In a world that moves too quickly, crochet whispers, slow down. take a breath. Watch as something ordinary transforms under your care. Yarn by itself is just a thread, but in your hands, it becomes a story, a memory, a creation that never existed before. Think of the times in your life when you felt unraveled, when everything seemed like tangled yarn. Crochet teaches us that even the biggest knots can be undone, and when we start again, the pattern might even be better than before. That's the quiet lesson of every project. Nothing is wasted, not even the mistakes. There's a rhythm in crochet. Loop, pull, repeat. It's like the beating of a heart, like waves folding on a shore. When you fall into that rhythm, you stop thinking about yesterday's worries or tomorrow's fears. You exist in this moment, with your yarn and your hook, with your breath steady and your mind calm. That's why so many call crochet therapy. Not the kind you pay for, but the kind you create for yourself every time you sit down to stitch. And what you're creating isn't just yarn shaped into fabric. You're weaving time. This moment you're in right now is captured forever in the loops you're making. One day, when someone holds your work, they're not just holding yarn, they're holding hours of your life, little fragments of your patience, your creativity, your love. Every project tells a story. Sometimes it's a blanket that kept you warm on nights you felt alone. Sometimes it's a small flower that reminded you of spring during a heavy winter. Sometimes it's a gift for someone you love, carrying with it the words you couldn't quite say. Crochet is language without speaking. It's love expressed quietly, humbly, beautifully. People often say handmade is priceless. They're right, not because of the cost, but because of the life inside it. A store-bought scarf is fabric. A crocheted scarf is time, care, and a little piece of your soul stitched into every row. And maybe that's what makes crochet so rare in today's world. We live in an age of speed, shortcuts, and instant results. Crochet refuses to be rushed. It demands presence. It teaches you that slow doesn't mean unproductive. It means mindful. It means savoring. It means giving each moment its due. Sometimes when your yarn tangles or your stitch count goes wrong, you feel frustrated. But think about it. Isn't that just like life? We make plans, we count steps, and yet somehow things unravel. Crochet shows us it's okay. Pull back, start again, try a new approach. There's no shame in undoing, only wisdom in redoing. Every creator, whether they admit it or not, is searching for meaning. Crochet gives us that meaning through simple repetition. It's not about how fast you finish, but about how deeply you connect with the act of creating. Each loop is a reminder you are capable of bringing order out of chaos. And while you sit here working on this project, maybe you feel a kind of calm settling in. That's not an accident. That's your body responding to stillness, to the meditative rhythm of yarn through hook. Science might call it stress relief. I'd call it something softer. Peace. Think about the generations before us, grandmothers and great-grandmothers, sitting by lamps or fireplaces, stitching in silence. They weren't just making clothes or blankets. They were anchoring themselves in time, finding purpose in small, steady work. You're carrying that tradition now, and with every stitch, you're part of something bigger than yourself. And what about the future? Maybe one day someone will hold what you've made and feel warmth, not just from the yarn, but from the invisible thread of care you left inside it. That's legacy. Not fame, not wealth, but the quiet continuation of love through handmade things. So, as you continue working, let me remind you, your hands are capable of more than you think. Each loop is proof. Each stitch is a choice to create instead of consume, to slow down instead of rush, to make something that wasn't here before you sat down. Crochet is patience, but it's also resilience. Yarn will break, projects will be abandoned, mistakes will happen, And yet again and again, we pick up the hook, we tie a new knot, we begin once more. Isn't that the essence of hope?
Now, let's turn to the leaves. Green balances pink the way silence balances music. Without leaves, the rose looks incomplete. Without rest, even beauty becomes exhausting. As you crochet these leaves, imagine them as friends standing around the rose, quiet, supportive, unnoticed by many, but essential. The leaf is simpler than the petal, but no less important. Think of your own life. Not every moment is a grand achievement. Most are quiet, small, ordinary, but they give balance, they give meaning, and they allow the brighter moments to shine. If your stitches falter here, don't worry. Nature never makes two leaves the same. Every one of them bends differently, folds differently, carries its own curve. Why should your crochet leaves be any different? Embrace the small differences. They make your rose look real, alive, authentic. There's another lesson crochet teaches us. When something unravels, don't despair. Just pick up your hook and start again. Sometimes the unraveling is part of the process. Sometimes the unraveling is how we learn. And now, the assembly, the moment of truth. Petals, leaves, stem, each part has been patient, waiting, and now they come together, like friends reunited, like chapters forming a book. This is where your rose becomes whole. Notice the transformation. Yarn that was once in separate strands now exists as one flower, pieces becoming a whole. This is not unlike life. Our days may feel scattered, our moments may seem disconnected, but in the end, they weave into a story.
Crochet becomes a metaphor for the heart. Stitches bind what was once loose. Patterns emerge from chaos. A blanket covers what was once cold. A rose blooms from what was once just thread. If you've ever felt invisible, remember this. Your creations are proof you exist. Every stitch says, I was here. I made this. That's not small. That's monumental. So keep going.
Hold your rose gently. Look at it. This is more than yarn. This is time, shaped into beauty. It is proof that with patience and care, even the simplest things can become extraordinary. Some people buy flowers. You created one, and that creation is priceless. As you finish weaving in the last ends, smile. You've turned loose yarn into something lasting, something meaningful. That's not just craft, that's art. And now, here it is, your very own pink crochet rose. A flower that never wilts, a bloom that will last as long as you want it to. Keep it for yourself, gift it to someone you love, or make a whole bouquet. Imagine a dozen of these roses stitched one after another, filling a vase. That's the kind of beauty only your hands can bring into the world. If this rose brought a smile to your face, imagine the joy of making more. Imagine the projects ahead, each one a little story, each one a little reminder of what patience can create. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because there are many more moments, many more flowers, and many more creations waiting for us to make together. Until next time, keep creating, keep blooming.